Good Thursday morning of the 6th week. Now, if this should be the Feast of the Ascension, okay, but I'm going to stay with the readings, okay? I think it depends where the diocese wants to celebrate the Ascension, if it's today or Sunday. I kind of hope it's Sunday or else I messed up here. Well, anyway, today we're just continuing the story of the Acts of the Apostles. I think it's fascinating. And as I said in my homily this morning at church, the church figures things out as they go along. You see it today. They stumble along, but it's the grace of God by which they stumble along. They learn through the immediacy of their experience. You see, and then they begin to figure out, in a sense, what the gospel is about. It is about universal salvation. They begin on the level of their understanding and their comfort. They stay within the Jewish community. That's the only thing. The only world they knew. And almost all their contacts are with Jews in diaspora. They're spread out all over the place. Like today's reading, they left Athens and went to Corinth, and there was a Jew named Aquila there, a native of Pontus, who had recently come from Italy with his wife Priscilla. Why? Because Claudius had ordered all the Jews to leave Rome. See, the political event, sends this couple into Paul's presence in Corinth. Okay? See? It's these accidental events, political and otherwise, that shape, in a sense, Paul's own preaching as he's learning as he's going, okay? And so he went to visit them. They were both tent makers, so he shares a common livelihood with them. So he's both working full-time and preaching part-time. But then when who else comes along? Silas and Timothy come along. They're his disciples. They take over, in some ways, his chores, and he gets to preach more. That's the life of the faith. It's the life of the church. Pastors are more than preachers on a Sunday morning or any weekday morning. They're also administrators of an institution and with a practice. And sometimes major practice, running a school, running this, running that. It's a full-time job, only a part of which is preaching, maybe a minuscule part. Anyway, it's the life of the church. It's the life of the pastorate in the church. She learns as she lives and lives as she learns. I think that's the wonderful part of it. It isn't hermetically sealed. It is open, and the church really excitingly learns. I think the church now, as we enter into in my view, the new Christianity, which is global, I think we will learn a great deal from the Asian community. As we plant the seed there, we're going to see a different kind of plant emerge. That's going to be a marvelous time in the life of the church. I think we are going to be truly, thoroughly global, and I actually think it will be out of the East, out of Asia. The re-evangelization of the West will take place. We're paganizing overnight. Europe is pagan, okay? And we are neo-pagan. Not really. America is still heavily Christian. I think it's tremendous influence of the Protestant community here in America, and also the strong emphasis on the Catholic community, because we're an immigrant church. But we're in our third generation now, and that's when you start to lose them. We'll see. I won't. I'll be dead. But our grandchildren will see. And if I see the trends, if they're half accurate, there's going to have to be a reinvigoration of evangelization in the West. John the 23rd saw that for Europe, but I think he would say it of America. And there's a need for re-evangelization in a manner that wasn't it's similar, analogous to the early church, that the preaching will take place in a foreign, if not hostile, environment. The resistance, but that's exactly what the church needs, is to preach not to her own, as it were, in the comfort area, but to her estranged own. Something like that. Just on a sidebar, but something important. I just was reading the paper today, the obits, and I saw that Father Sal Polizzi died. He was 92 years old. He was a diocesan priest here in St. Louis, probably one of the most famous. And if you didn't like him, one of the most infamous. He was a powerful, powerful man. He made a difference. Nicknamed the Sicilian Bandit, but I don't know if that was something favorable or unfavorable, but I know this much, is Sal made a difference. I didn't know him personally. I met him one time. But I knew that I was in the presence of a man who made a difference. And what he made a difference was, frankly speaking, he saved the Hill section in St. Louis, the Italian section, St. Ambrose Parish, for instance. I remember that 50 years ago when I got here, how powerful he was. He was a young priest at the time, roughly speaking. Not really, probably was in his late 40s. He made early 40s, he made a tremendous difference because he not only preached the gospel, he knew how to engage a community politically and socially. He literally saved the Hill. And the Hill is one of the best sections in St. Louis to live in. It's just safe. Crime is not allowed on the Hill. Okay? It is not allowed. And St. Ambrose Parish is one of the most powerful parishes in the diocese. Marvelous place. Yet they are not wealthy. They're working stiffs, but it's a very, very safe and good neighborhood, and also has the best restaurants. That's in the Italian section. You want to go to a good restaurant, pick any one of them out on the Hill. It's the truth. You can thank Sal Polizzi for that. I would imagine his funeral's next week at the parish in which he was pastor for 20-something years, I think, St. Roch's Parish. It's not the Hill. It's towards North St. Louis. My guess, off of Grand Avenue, I believe, not far from SLU. My guess is the church will be packed. Packed. I think he made that kind of difference. I think of Plato's dialogue, The Sophist, and in it, Socrates is asked, "What is it to be? What is it to be?" He said, "To make a difference and have a difference made." I would say that about Sal Polizzi. He made a difference. He made a difference, and it was for the good. He made a tremendous difference. He showed that the church is, just as you see in the Acts of the Apostles, church is not just for the salvation of soul, but the creating of a community. And Sal created a community, helped to sustain and recreate a community. That's really true. There isn't a person living on the Hill who doesn't owe an awful lot to Sal Polizzi for what he did 30 and 40 and 50 years ago. He made a difference. And I think in that way, he models the church. He models the Acts of the Apostles. They went in and they created and sustained and improved, as it were, the community of faith. They were servants not only of the gospel, they were servants of the people of the gospel. They served, in a sense, the neighborhood. I remember pastors back home in Connecticut that were that way. They were very significant figures. They made a difference. They were politically astute. They were not selfish. They weren't throwing their weight around, but they weren't going to let anybody beat up on their people either, whether it be strangers or politicians. They would preserve the neighborhood of the parish. That was extremely important because parishes are neighborhoods. They form neighborhoods. If I give you my last remark at the moment, I think about the three parishes along Union Road where I am now, okay? St. Mark's. St. Mark's is the combination of all three, and we don't know what's going to happen. We know that they are reducing down the number of parishes for obviously a tremendous number of reasons for it. Okay, financial, lack of clergy, etc. You can run the table. I don't know what's going to happen. I have no idea. But I hope they don't close St. Mark's, and not for a lot of reasons. I've been with St. Mark's, St. Tim's for 52 years. Actually, 4 generations, going on 5. But because, most importantly, because it's a neighborhood. St. Mark's, St. Tim's, those 3 parishes, St. Tim's, Mary Queen, Precious Blood, formed neighborhoods. And those neighborhoods still galvanize around St. Mark's. That's extremely important. So I hope we will stay because we are a center, as it were, an energetic center of life for the neighborhood of the Union Road community. That's what I call it. I think of that. I think of Sal Polizzi on the Hill. Well, this is our version of the Hill. See? And I hope St. Mark's will always be here. And it be like St. Ambrose, a center for the Catholic culture of Union Road. I hope so. We'll see. We don't know. Bishop's got to call this shot himself. He knows what he's doing. So we'll see.